You haven't done that as well? In the North Sea as well, I suppose.
Bristol Channel, isn't it, down there, I suppose?
Leather thread?
So 3.5, that's 7.
But you never even checked off the pitch. I recommend that. I've been I never been sent out. And I was the one yeah. Where's the door? Where's the door? Next door. 20 seconds left. They already had come in the door. You can get inside much from that. Well, that's there. Thanks very much. You probably was. You feel very like yes. 7. But somebody hadn't come.
I wasn't there either. I spent a lot of people calling that. They do.
Okay, are you happy taking bags with you? Yeah, you do need hands free to sort of, steady yourself up, because there's no handrail from halfway up. Okay, so as long as you're comfortable with that. Tour takes about an hour. We've got 99 feet to climb, but we'll do it in stages. We're very much in the hands of the weather, I'm afraid, as to if we can go onto the roof. I looked at the forecast at 5 o'clock and there was a great fierce rainstorm out in the Irish Sea, so I'm hoping it's not going to get here before 9 o'clock, so we might be okay, but we'll just have to see how it goes, all right? So the first stage is to go up to where we ring. That's about 45 steps. So Margaret is going to push from the back, all right, make sure we don't lose anyone, and I'll lead from the front. So if you'd like to follow me through, we have to do a couple of, it's a bit like the 55 buffs, we have to do a bit of reversing here and there. So the first one is down here, we'll go into the lobby at the base of the tower, then close the door we've just come through and open the other door. So if you like to come through and then go as far as you can into the tower. The orange hoodie, and then I know we're all right.
I thought I'd wear something bright so you can find me.
Right, we'll take it steady. Have the opportunity.
Coming down might be the awkward bit.
Well, I hope none of you pay for gym subscriptions. Because you certainly shouldn't. You should come here 3 times a week because you get step aerobics for free. Right. Grab a seat, Stu. Right, well, welcome. Welcome to St Peter's, and welcome to St Peter's Society of Change Ringers in particular. This is where our band of ringers comes 3 times a week, very often, to ring. And we have 8 very fine bells in Tiverton, in St Peter's, and actually a nice ring of 6 as well down at St Paul's, so we're very lucky. And the 8 here are reckoned to be one of the finest 8s in the country, although there's a bit of argument about which is the finest, but we're in the top 10 probably in the country, so we're very lucky. Around the walls there are various bits of history connected with the ringing, and in Devon we have 2 sorts of ringing, and Devon is rather unusual, I wouldn't say unique, but certainly unusual in having the 2 sorts of ringing. There's method or change ringing that you may have heard about, and these sort of grands or doubles stuff and grands or triples that you may have heard mentioned. And if you're ever awake at 5:45 on a Sunday morning and hear bells on a Sunday, very often you hear method ringing, and that's what we do a lot of here. But Devon also has a tradition of call changes, where rather than ringing a set method which is in your head, a conductor calls out each individual change, and it's a different style of ringing, and for certain parts of the county it predominates over method ringing. And I mention this, it's all background really to the history around these walls, because the call change style predominated in Devon in the early part of the 19th century, and there was quite a lot of ringing in competitions, prize ringing. And when the church reform movement got going in the Victorian period, sort of mid-1850s, some of the clergy started taking a bit of a dim view of the fact that their ringers were ringing for beer and prizes on a Saturday and not turning out to ring on a Sunday. So they attempted to reform the belfries, and their way of doing that was to introduce change ringing, which some of them had encountered when they were at university. And indeed, change ringing was introduced to Devon by somebody living not very far away from Tiverton at Hanshaw Court, Charles Troit. And he and his brother John learnt when they were at, I can never remember which way around it is, but Oxford and Cambridge, or Cambridge and Oxford respectively, and they brought method ringing back. And of course, being the Troit or Hanshaw estate, they had a captive band of ringers in their estate workers, so Charles taught his estate workers to ring methods out at Hanshaw, and that was really the beginning of the Devon Guild of Devonshire Ringers, which is the organisation which still exists today for those of us who ring method. And this is an affiliated guild tower. And there was quite a bit of not altogether friendly rivalry between the method ringers and the call change ringers, who formed their own association in 1923-24, that sort of period. The Devon Guild for method ringing was formed in 1875. And from that period, the St Peter's Society was formed in 1868, and there is on the display downstairs a little cutting about the inaugural meeting, and you'll see there are all sorts of quite prestigious people involved. The local MPs, all the squirearchy, and all the clergy were involved. So again, this was all part of this movement to try and reform what was going on in belfries by introducing method ringing. I would hasten to say now that the relationship between the two organisations is very cordial. We respect each other's quite different traditions. Both organisations organise competitions. We shall be having a mixed method and call change competition next week, Saturday week in Bampton in the evening. So you might, if you want to come along and hear some hopefully good ringing, that will be at Bampton at 6 o'clock onwards next Saturday the 19th. So both organisations do engage in competition ringing, but we take the ringing very seriously, and although we do like our beer, it doesn't predominate, I think it's fair to say. And recorded round the walls are some method performances, and the standard, the sort of masterpiece really for a ringer. Again, if you think in terms of medieval guilds and so forth, it's a similar sort of setup. To prove yourself to the other members of the guild and to other ringers nationally, you ring what's called a peal of minimum of 5,000 changes. And that on these bells takes over 3 hours to ring without stopping. And you have to memorise the pattern in your head. You're not allowed any visual aids while you're ringing. And last Saturday morning, Charlotte, who's downstairs, was one of the band that rang, I'm not sure how many changes, it was certainly over 5,000 changes of a mixture of methods. And she had to remember 8 different methods in her head and be able to splice them together. It was 5,024 changes, and it took 3 hours and 32 minutes to ring. And so Charlotte has done 29, I think she said now, such test pieces, if you like, to prove her competence as a ringer. I've rung probably about 20 in my life, and my shoulder is telling me that that's quite enough. Okay, we've got 8, let's talk about the bells now. We've got 8 bells. They were put in their present form in 1923, but the tower goes back to 1400 in its present form, and there were bells, at least 4 bells mentioned in the 1500s, and slowly that was increased up to 8. There were certainly 8 bells in 1737 when the original peal of 8 was put in, and then those were taken out in 1923 and recast. And when we go and look at the bells, you'll see around the headband of the bell that the date 1737 is on many of the bells. And then lower down it says 1923, just to confuse you. Okay. So these bells were cast in Loughborough in 1923 and installed in a new cast iron and steel frame. The old bells were in a wooden frame, and they're on ball bearings, so that makes them easy to ring. The frame doesn't move around too much, so let's say they're a particularly fine and easy set of bells to ring. Just to give you an idea of what a bell looks like when we go up and have a look at them when the bells are up. At the moment they're in the down positions, we call it, and they're down so the clock can strike, which it will do any moment now, I think. But in order to ring, we have to remove the clock hammers out of the way and invert the bell progressively by swinging it higher and higher until it actually is set at rest with its mouth pointing upwards. Okay, and I'll just let the clock strike, and then I'll actually ring the 6th bell up so that you can actually see the process of ringing a bell up, and then when we're upstairs you'll be able to see one of the bells in the up position, one sort of furthest away from the door, so that we're quite safe. Normally we wouldn't go into the bell chamber with the bells up, certainly wouldn't go amongst them with the bells up, because they're only just over the point of balance. And if you get hit by the weight of 2 small cars, which is what the tenor weighs, 2,500 weight, a ton and a quarter, you know all about it. Well, you don't. Probably won't know about it for very long. So I'm just going to drop the ropes down. And we'll go up and look at the bells, hopefully go on the roof, then come down and look at the clock, and then when we've done that, the second party will be up here, and we'll do a little demonstration ring about 7:15. Okay, so you can actually see 6 of the bells being rung. Okay. Right, this is taking the camera off the hour strike. Just pulls the hammer back out of the way of the tenor bell so it can swing, and we'll just hang on a moment for the clock to strike. And if we time it right, we'll be in the clock room when it's striking again, so we'll actually see the mechanism work. The only hard part of ringing is ringing the bell up from the down position. Once the bells are up and you're ringing them full circle, then the bell does most of the work for you. So even though even the lightest bell is 500 weight, that's 5 bags of coal, if you still have coal and open fire. Okay, so it's still quite a lot of weight. That will say it's about the weight of 2 small cars. So there's an awful lot of metal flying around there. Okay, let's normally ring with jackets off. The clock is a bit slow at the moment. It's about a minute or 2 slow while we're waiting. Any questions?
What are the bells around there?
Ah, yes, those always fascinate people. That's called Siege's practice apparatus. And they were put in before the First World War. And the idea was that we could ring bells and put a tie on the clapper of the actual bell, and then just have the sound in the ringing room here. And there were wires, and you'll see upstairs there are little rocker arms that used to connect with the bells. That was on the old ringing bells. So that was Queen's, that change. need to take foils to start with. First thing I should do is just check the bell is actually down, so I don't get a nasty surprise when I pull and it's when it's up. Block hams are off. Slowly releasing the rope a little bit at a time. So, tight rope all the time. So pull is effective. This bell's about 1700 weight, I think. The wheel is acting as a lever to help me. There. Keep the rope tight and it tells you what's going on upstairs. It's just balance.
You're not even out of breath.
So you know by the way the rope feels then?
Yes, you can feel what's happening to the bell upstairs. Okay, right, we'll leave that one tied up because we know it's up. We'll tuck it around there. Right. Well, I am just slightly breathless. But you folk have been sitting down quite happily, so we'll make tracks for the bell chamber and have a look at the bells. That's sort of spread along that side as well.
So here?
Yes, just the way along there so everyone can get in. Oops. So, these are our 8 bells. The lightest one with all the treble, which is the one nearest you folk over there, about 500 weight. The heaviest in the middle here, the tenor bell, 2500 weight. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, you can see around the headband, there's the date 1737 from the old bells and the initials of the founder, W.E. William Evans, Chepstow. And then further down, the date when they were recast, 1923, by Taylors of Loughborough. And they go treble, 2, 3, 4, immediately behind me, 5. The 6th bell was the bell I rung up, and that's what a bell looks like when it's set in the up position, and it's just held in that position by this piece of wood called the stay. Okay, so it's just over the point of balance, and when we ring it, it will go just slightly more than full circles, slightly more than 3, or it can do slightly more than 360 degrees. And it can be set at the other stroke, the back stroke. It's currently set at hand stroke. But it can't, if it keeps going round, that means you don't stay. That does occasionally happen. On the outside of the bells, there are these hammers that we removed from the clock. Okay, they're just pulled back out of the way. The clock can keep trying to strike, but the hammers are pulled back so they don't actually contact the bell. That also spares our hearing as well if it goes off while we're in here. What else is there to say? Oh, also, the bells have got hammers coming up on the underside. They're disconnected now, but you used to be able to chime them. One person used to be able to chime them from right down in the ground floor of the church. There used to be ropes coming all the way up. So if we didn't have enough ringers to ring, we could still make a noise. Any questions about the bells themselves?
Which bell do they use when they toll the bell?
What, for a funeral?
Funeral, yeah.
Would normally be the tenor bell. In fact, we've got the third bell is connected up. You'll see there's a rope on that hammer down there, and we have used that for a funeral before now. It doesn't matter particularly which one, although the tenor sounds slightly more doleful than some of the others, some people reckon. What are bells made of? Tin and copper, mixture thereof. And there's on the display downstairs it shows you how the bells are actually cast. And the video also will show you probably a bell being cast. That's the way, simply the way the rope is attached to the wheel. These are new ropes. I think I was a little bit over anxious about not getting them too short, so we've ended up with plenty of spare rope, as you can see. But it is normal to have at least 4 or 5 turns around the spokes there, and that's the way of securing them. And that also gives you a little bit of spare. These ropes are made out of terylene. Now, they used to be hemp. Terylene does not wear, seemingly. It seems to go on forever. The bit that wears now on these modern ropes is the bit that we have in our hands downstairs, which is still traditional hemp, and the sally above it, the wool sally. So we had to put in a new set of ropes, not because the tops were worn, but because the bottom ends were worn, and we'd spliced them and really done everything we could. We had new bottom ends put on 3 of the old ropes to give us some good spares, but actually we knew it's probably not a lot more expensive to get a new set of ropes. Having said that, a set of 8 ropes is, you don't get much change out of £1,000. So there's only one firm in the country really that makes them now.
Were the bells cast from the original bells?
Yes, I think they used the old bell metal. There is a photograph in the ringing room of a young lady sitting inside the old bells after they'd been taken out of the tower and were sitting in the churchyard. So they were taken to the foundry and boiled up, probably some new metal added to make the new ring.
How did they get them in here?
There is a trapdoor in the floor. It doesn't show this on this side of the boarding, but in the clock room and in the ringing room floor, if you look in the ringing room when we go back, there's a big square in the ceiling, and so they were hoisted up through. Interesting question is, the clock is dated 1883, and these went in 1923. The clock sits half over the track, so I think they must have had to move the clock out of the way to get the bells in. And then, with the new installation, they just boarded it all over in here. But I think you can certainly see a trap in the floor of the clock room. I can't remember if there was one in the ceiling. But yes, they would be hoisted up through. Because clearly the windows aren't wide enough to get the tenor bell through.
How far does the sound travel from the bells?
Sound is funny stuff, and it depends on atmospheric conditions, but it can travel 4 or 5 miles. We can certainly hear Halberton bells in Tiverton on occasions, and I guess they can hear Tiverton bells in Halberton when the wind is sort of normally in the southwest, But it depends on the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, amount of cloud cover. The quality of the sound is very different every time we ring according to the weather conditions. And when it's clear and dry, it will carry a lot further. And say it will do funny things. Sound. You walk round the town and think, oh, bell's a bit quiet, and then go round a corner, and suddenly it seems to have come out. These have not got sort of traditional slanting louvers. Got these tracery openings, which actually are better because it allows the sound to go out and up rather than being forced down on the poor suffering neighbours, immediately around. So it does go out, and then sometimes it will suddenly drop into a pocket, like the sort of the little alleyway by the dentists in Castle Place, between here and Castle Street. Sort of, not particularly aware of the sound of those. Suddenly walk into that sort of little well, and it's suddenly the sound is dropping down as like a shower, So it's very funny stuff, sound. But we're quite lucky to say that immediately around the church it's not too loud normally, so we don't get problems with our neighbours. But then we do try and respect our neighbours by not ringing too frequently to disturb them. Right, we'll carry on up to the top. It looks as though we shall be able to get there. Stand back probably while I stagger. Right, we're going to have to reverse, yes. So if you'd like to follow Margaret down, and I'll shout when everyone's clear, because of the door being across the stairs. Here. Yeah. Just a little bit further.
Graffiti here. Did you see that? Oh, yes. You might like to get that. Do you want to go?
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
You're through now.
Sorry, one more.
Further?
Two or three
Two more steps down.
Two more.
Rocket. Two more.
Sorry.
Can I do that? No, yeah, I think that might be just as easy.
Right, that's it.
Slightly more than a multi-line set. Watch this head if you come out.
Just keep inside the rope.
That's really good, isn't it? Right, so I can stand there. And I'll take a picture. That way.
Didn't we just... Papa, do you remember when we went in there? There's a million lengths.
What?
When we went in there.
We went swimming.
Yes.
Like a million lengths.
Yes, yes. Okay, out of the way.
No, let's keep it there.
Oh, dear.
Not too low either.
The end of the way now.
Day and night. Put in an it's really untouched since it was put in. And every time it strikes, the motor is triggered and it winds the weights back up again. You can see some of the old weights behind you there. Used to have enormous weights. It was when it had to be wound by hand 3 times a week. It got increasingly difficult to find people who were prepared to, climb the 60 steps and then have a workout on this. And I'll tell you it wasn't, because I did it a few times myself as a relief winder. I mean, it's blinking hard work raising a pile of those weights.
Yeah, he did.
Well, you can see the winds.
Still on here,
The winders, yes.
You have to stand there and those
Yes.
for the winders.
Yeah. And that really was physical workout stuff. I can tell you the quarters and the hour drives were quite right, let's just have a look at the quarters, and there we go. So trying to get a chance of having a full back. So let's just struck quarter. Weights are rewinding over there.
What's it timed to? Because you notice in the town that different clocks are sort of set on different times. You go to Roman Green and then you brush up here and hear the hour
Yes,
chime.
it is a bit variable actually.
You do reset it every now and then.
Yeah, well, we try and keep this one accurate, but it very quickly drifts either fast or slow, and it varies with the weather. I mean, the pendulum obviously lengthens with warm weather. The metal expands just that little bit, so that and the longer it is, the slower it goes. So it will vary with the weather. Right, I don't want to rush you, but I think we ought to go down and show you how we ring. The other party sounds though they're down there. Yeah, you go first, Margaret. I don't know whether Matthew's explained what we're going to do now.
I did mention raising the bells.
Yeah. But bells are facing with their mouths to the floor at the moment, most of them apart from the 6, which we raised earlier, so the first party could see a bell while it was actually up. And we're now going to raise the other front 5 to swing them progressively higher from the mouth downwards position to the mouth upwards position. Okay, are we ready? Okay, off we go. Sally. So the bells are all down, placing their eyes on this. Right, we'll do both sorts of ringing briefly. You've explained about chord changes and method, have you, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, so let's have some Devon style chord changes to start with. Okay. Jimmy, starting rounds, the bells going down the scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll start making variations by calling a couple of bells to change places. Bells only normally move one place at a time from where they are in the order. Okay.
Look two, Trev's going, she's gone.
Close it, the hand stroke. 4 to 5. 2 to 3. 2 to 5. 5 to 2. So there we are, that's calling the changes. Diane, would you like to ring the treble for us, please? Jenny, would you like to ring the third? Mike, would like to ring the tenor? And then we'll just ring a plain course of plain bob doubles. For this we've got the pattern in our head. But again, each bell is moving just one place at a time, okay? But we're all moving at each pull, so that's how we get the the changes without actually having to call them out.
2 fretboards going.
Paintball. All. That was method reading. So you've seen both traditions now, both method ringing and chord changes. We do that in this tower. We do both traditions. Right, Matthew, do you want to take your party up first?
Yeah, did you want to lower the bows?
Oh yes, good thing. Safety first. So we'll drop 1, 2, and 3, please. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So these are the bells nearest the door when Matthew's party goes into the bell chamber. So we'll leave 4, 5, and 6 are over on the far side, so we can leave those up safely. Cool, look to it. Down, she's on. Downwards. Progressively taking in rope into our coils to limit the swing of the bell each time. So eventually the hand stroke disappears. Left with the back stroke. Stop. So we'll leave the ropes on the floor like that, and that indicates that the bells are down. leave those tied up, so that reminds us those are up. Okay, right. So Matthew's party, if you'd like to go first.
Probably.
Just back.
Back on the cathedral green, Steph and her team wait anxiously. Are you a bit nervous? Are you?
What you thought? Well, I'm eating a biscuit. What you thought of the views from the top and the tour of the church tower there?
The views were magnificent, and I'd like to go up again and have another look, but it was very good, wonderful. And
now, that's the same question to you.
What about the little one?
Do that separately.
I thought it was wonderful, and I couldn't recognise the Tiverton Castle. I was trying to think where that big house was, but it's really lovely. I loved it, and they were really interesting people that have taken us, talked to us. Yeah, really great.
And what did you think of learning about the church?
I liked it because it wasn't windy at the top, so it didn't look like it was like the falling, and I liked the views. But sadly, I couldn't see my house or my friend's house. But at least I went.
Just ask you what you thought of your little expedition there.
Tremendous. Really 70 years to go up there, which was only last week. 70. So yeah, it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know that I should like to go playing the ropes very much, so to be quite honest. It looked a bit hard work to me now.
Brilliant. Okay,
thanks very much.
Can I just ask you, have you been up?
Yes.
Yes. What you thought of what you made of your little tour there, what you've learned? Would you encourage other people to come and visit?
Oh, yes.
Right, I'll just sit there and say I would encourage other people to come and visit, so I can put it in and just have it on its own.
Oh, I would encourage other people to come and visit. It's a wonderful experience. You can see for miles.
Okay. First of all, I'll just get your full name and role here.
Yeah. I'm Les Boyce. I'm the tower captain at St Peter's, and I'm also one of the ringing masters for the local branch of the Guild, and I'm also librarian of the Guild, and I'm on the Central Council of Church Bell Ringers Ringing Centres Committee, and I've now just taken on secretaryship of the National Association of Ringing Teachers, so I'm quite heavily involved.
And Boyce is B-O-Y-C-E?
That's correct, yeah.
Yes. Quite a lot of interest here this evening. Do you find you get quite a lot of people enjoy the experience of going up and having a look at the tower?
Yes, it's been quite a popular event in Tivvy Fest now for several years, and people are just intrigued as to what goes on in the bell tower, but also the attraction of going onto the tower roof and having a look at the town from the tower. It's quite an interesting picture, actually, to see the town all laid out below you, and photographers are particularly keen to get up there and take some photographs. Yeah.
What do you hope the people who came today will take away from their experience here?
A little bit of the sense of history connected with ringing, an understanding of why we ring, why we do it, a little bit of sharing a little bit of the pleasure we get out of ringing, and also we're hoping that perhaps one or two people will be sufficiently inspired that they'll come and join us and help maintain the tradition. We're all getting slightly longer in the tooth now, and so we're concerned that we want to continue the tradition, and we need to recruit and teach.
To anyone who hasn't come to see the tower yet, how would you encourage them to come along and do it next year, maybe?
Think about the splendid views off the top of the tower. If you're sort of passing by or living in the town and hear the bells ringing, just think about well, I wonder how they do that and how do they get those patterns and things. Well, if you come along next year, of course, you can find out. Or if you're really intrigued, you don't need to wait until next year. You can come and see us any night, any Tuesday night at 7:30 when we practice. We're always pleased to have visitors.
If someone wanted to join bell ringing, how would they do that? Would they get in contact with you? Or
yes, myself or Glenn. Our contact details are in the church porch.
And they're in the Tivvy Fest guide as well, aren't they?
In the Tivvy Fest guide. And if you Google ringing in Tiverton, you'll doubtless come across either the North East Branch website or the Guild website, again with contact details there.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add on top of what we already said?
No, just pleased that we've had a good evening tonight and that people are coming.